by the trolley. Again, David Jacobs' Memorial Drinks Trolley. Yes. What have we got from there?
Well, I've got a nice gin today, and Matt will like this one. It's called Malfi. It's perfect. Go and get it now for spring and summer later on, because it's from the Italian Amalfi Coast. And it makes an excellent gin and tonic, nice and citrusy. And it's also lovely in an Italian 75 if you've got Prosecco and limoncello.
Right, there's the full Monty there. And the hi-hat.
Delicious.
Okay. So today, not only, so it's a slightly unusual confession. Not only do we have Sister Holly and Sister Susie and Brother Matthew, but also Ricky, who sends in the confession, isn't sure it's a confession at all. So 2 things you have to work out. 1, is it a confession? 2, if it is he forgiven? If it's not, then obviously the second question doesn't arise. Father Simon, Brother Matt, Sister Susie, and obviously Sister Holly, but I didn't know about her when I sent her email in. Just extemporizing. This email comes to you out of concern, which, if you ask some, could possibly be a confession. Maybe you can help. Take about 15 years, different times. Actually, not really. When I was in here's the first clue. I was in a semi-serious relationship with a lady. Okay. Let's call her Vicky, not her real name. Yes, it's Ricky and Vicky. We'd been dating for a few years. We're just into our 3rd year, actually. I'd met her family, including her parents. We'd spent holidays together, and we're going through the motions. But there was, Father Simon, just no real spark as such. Even after 2 years, the L word, that's love Matt, not Liverpool. That's what it says.
Okay, really?
Had never been mentioned, and in my mind wasn't even a thought. Plus, she lived over an hour away by car. Wasn't going to last, although it had been more than 2 years. I started to think that the relationship had run its course, Father Simon, but not actually risen to the challenge of ending it just yet. So when I was staying at her home one wet weekend in a desperate attempt for us to get out of the house, I made a suggestion that it would be fun to take a look around the new homes that were being built on an estate close by. We drove down there, gave a fictitious name, fictitious phone number, and fictitious earnings to the sales executive, and we spent some time looking around the show homes that we could never afford. Harmless fun. In my mind, no big deal really. It was simply window shopping. I think that's obvious. Anyway, the next weekend, I finally plucked up the courage and ended the relationship. Job done. Well done me. Eventually. Wind forward a few months later, and I meet the woman who I will eventually marry and be the mother of my son. I think you meant our son, but anyway. And we recap on our old relationships, and I relive this particular event. And this triggered my now wife to scream with complaints about how on earth could I have treated my ex like that. Taking her to look at new houses, she must have thought I was going to propose or at least buy a house together. Personally, I found this unbelievable. How could anyone think that? This was outrageous, verging on comical. How could Vicky have thought that there was more to it just because we were going around a house together? The relationship was quite obviously fizzling out. I mean, come on. As I was still in touch with a work colleague who also knew Vicky, I asked for a second opinion and exchanged with her how I thought looking at houses was harmless. Weirdly, she confirmed that after Vicky and I broke up, Vicky had spoken to my work colleague and explained that we were no longer an item, and that Vicky was devastated as she was convinced we would grow old together as we had gone house hunting. What I thought was harmless fun, she had clearly misunderstood. Therefore, initially, I seek the collective's opinion on A, whether, like me, the house viewing is merely a bit of harmless fun and something to do on a wet afternoon. Don't let me down, Matt.
Oh, goodness me. Oh, dear.
I know. Or B, if, as my colleague informed me, I had indeed led her down a path of hope and dreams, only to break her heart the weekend afterwards. If B, I'd be grateful for the collective's forgiveness, as this may go a small way to stopping my wife telling as many people as possible the story of how her husband can be an insensitive, insert rude word here. Not that she has ever experienced it, says Ricky. I also understand that Vicky didn't have another relationship for many years afterwards. I await the... He just throws that one in.
Wow.
I await the compassion of the collective. Well, I'm not sure you're going to get much, would be my instant judgment, Ricky. Let's check in with Sister Susie, first of all.
Well, Vicky, I can't believe this, really. Just 3 years. You spent 3 years together and you weren't that serious. You didn't think it was going anywhere. So what on earth were you doing in the first place? Wasting both of your time, I think, is the answer to that question. I do think you need forgiveness for this. I do think it is a confession. Because, yeah, especially looking at houses, I bet she was like, oh, I'm in here. And I just don't think you just weren't very nice. And I'm not going to give you forgiveness because I think it was really mean. You wasted everyone's time. Not forgiven from me.
Sister Holly.
Looking at houses sounds like a really fun thing to do, but you've both really got to be on the same page. And I think this was a discussion that should have been had. He obviously felt that, we're just having fun and like this isn't very serious. But she may not have thought that, obviously didn't. Should have had that discussion. It didn't happen. Yes, this is a confession. No, I don't forgive, because obviously there was some miscommunication there.
Don't let him down, says Ricky to Brother
Well,
Matthew.
I mean, here's the thing: is obviously, if a relationship isn't working, then it's best to find a way of bringing it to a close, I imagine. And so, but it strikes me that looking around the house sounds like a fun thing to do, and everyone. I mean, Vicky knew as she was going into the house that they were giving fake names and fake income, so she knew it was all a bit of fun. So I definitely think it's a confession. But I'm going to forgive, because I think really Vicky she dodged a bullet there, didn't she? Didn't end up with Ricky or indeed anyone else for quite a while. But that's beside the point. I think well done to Vicky. You'll find someone who doesn't treat you like Ricky. So there you go. And he doesn't rhyme with your name, so that's even a bigger plus.
Yeah.
Never go out with someone that rhymes.